Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. Just kidding. Welcome to another entry of the Dylan's 544 blog. And in this entry, we're going to talk about setting the valves, and I'm going to tell you why that's important. Mainly, I recommend doing this pretty much anytime you're going to do an oil change. It's a good interval to just pop the valve cover off and take a look at your valves, make sure they're set correctly. If your car's not running right, the valves is often an overlooked source of problems. You might start tracking out ignition problems, carburation problems, but if your valves aren't set right, your car is not going to run correctly. That's just the way it is, and it's really important to make sure your valves are set properly on these cars. So we're going to go through the step-by-step of setting the valves. I'm going to show you the way that I do it. There are many different ways to do it, but I'm going to show you the way that was shown to me. And let's go ahead and take a look at the tools we're going to need to do this job. Here's what you're going to need to do to set the valves, and the tools and things you're going to need. First and foremost, you're going to need a new valve cover gasket. This is a cork one. This is what I prefer to use. I never had any luck with the rubber style, so cork gaskets for me all the time, always. You're going to need a wrench to get the valve cover off. In this case, I have the IPD upgraded heavy-duty valve cover, which is held in by 7/16 bolts. Yours may be held in with screws, or it could be held in with some other means. So just whatever you need to get the valve cover off. You're also going to need a wrench. That's going to be a 1/2 inch, and that's what's going to be used to open the valve adjuster. Flat blade screwdriver, and I use a remote start switch to to engage the starter to turn the motor over. So. This is how I was shown to do it. There's a bunch of different ways to do the job, but these are the tools you're going to need. Oh, and last and not least, you're going to need a feeler gauge. 17 1/1000ths is the correct size that the book calls for. That was part of a bigger gauge, but that's the only one I saved because that's all I ever use. So these are the tools you're going to need. Let's get started. All right, we're going to start by taking the 4 bolts off the valve cover, and we'll just get the cover off. So I'm using a wrench or a socket with an extension, but you could use a wrench. You know, just got to make sure it's small enough you can clear it. This is just easier for me. Like I said, yours may have a screwdriver on it or something, but or you may need to use a screwdriver, but I have bolts on this one here, so we're going to go ahead and get all 4 of these bolts off, and at that point we'll be able to remove the cover. Like I said, I was talking about earlier using the cork valve cover gasket. There's a couple reasons why. One, I tried the heavy-duty gasket, the rubber one, and I had no luck with that gasket. I found it leaked, and I tried it with one of these IPD style of valve covers, and I just didn't have any luck with it. So I've had good success with the cork ones. When you have problems is when people over tighten them down. You really don't need to go crazy with them. And I dropped the bolt, but should be enough to get the cover off. And there we go. And then set this in a safe place, and then we'll proceed with the adjustment. Okay, now that we've gotten the valve cover off, and I removed the old gasket as well. By the way, really important to make sure that this little flange here is nice and clean. I'm going to hook up my remote starter, and I'm going to show you where that connects. Now, your starter will probably look a little bit differently than this one, but basically what you've got down here, right here, is 12 volt. That runs to the battery. You're going to hook one end of the remote starter up to that, and then this wire down here that you can see is the little starter engage wire. So you're going to hook the other end of the remote start up to that. And then once that's done, you'll be able to punch the button and rotate the motor over. So I'm going to come in here with my remote start and get these all hooked up as best we can here. In fact, I'm going to need two hands to do this, so we'll show you what it looks like in just a second here. Okay, so now you can see the remote start hooked up to the 2 leads that you needed. And with that there, you can push the button, and you'll see it turns the motor over. Alright, so we've got the valve cover off, we've got a remote start hooked up. Before you do anything with this, make sure the car is in neutral. Make sure the car's in neutral. Cannot stress that enough. If the car's not in neutral and you engage the remote start, you're going to run yourself over. That's bad. Running yourself over is bad. So make sure the car's in neutral. Have your parking brake set. Key out of the ignition, and then you can, as you can see, you can rotate the motor all you want. The car won't go anywhere. So the way this is going to work, I'm going to show you the method that was shown to me by race car driver Rob Gordon. This is the method he showed me. This is how he does it on his race car, and this is how he showed me how to do it on my 122. This is how I've always done it, and I've had no problem. Like I said, the Haynes manual will show you a different way to do it. That works just as well, but this is how I've always done it. So if you look at the motor, you kind of want to look at it as like a split in half here. So you'll see there's 8 valves here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're going to operate on the opposite end of where the valves are compressed. So you see when I engage the starter that it's going to make the valves move up and down. This stopped with this valve down all the way, which would mean I would work on this valve here. I would make my adjustment there with my feeler gauge and all this stuff here. So and then to continue the process, if you engage the remote start and try to get this one down here. There we go. That one's now down all the way. That would mean you would operate your adjustment on this valve, so on and so forth. When this one's down all the way, you would adjust this one. When this one's down all the way, you'd adjust this one. When this one's down all the way, you'd adjust this one, so on and so forth, all the way through the motor. So I've already gone through and made adjustments on some of these valves, but I left this one to adjust so I can show you the process there. So I'm going to engage the starter until this valve is compressed all the way. There we go. I'm going to take my feeler gauge, and it's 17th 1,000ths is the one you need for the Volvo B18 B20 motor. I'm going to take my 1/2 inch socket. I'm going to place it here. I'm going to loosen it just a little bit. Boy, that one's on there tight. There we go. Boy, that thing sure was tight. Once that's loose, you just need to loosen it a little bit so that you can get the screw to rotate. And the screw is what raises and lowers the rocker here. So I'm going to loosen it a bit, and you can see that just goes in there way super loose. And if I tighten it down too far, the adjuster won't go in at all. It doesn't take a whole lot of adjustment here to make a difference. So I'm going to loosen that a bit. Just going to keep loosening that until I can get that to kind of just barely go in, and then loosen a little bit more. You want to feel resistance, but it's kind of hard to explain. You want it to feel a bit of resistance where it's not impossible to push through with just normal strength. Right about there is pretty good. I can definitely feel it rubbing, a little bit of friction, but it's not so loose that if I let go it's going to rattle out or anything. So I'm going to hold that there. I'm going to hold the screwdriver here, and I'm going to tighten the nut while the screwdriver's in place. And then when you get close to tightening it, it's going to want to grab the screwdriver and tighten it a little bit further. So when I get to that point where I'm about to kind of do my last torque, I actually kind of push back on the screwdriver just a tiny bit. Just like that. Pull that out. And sometimes it'll be off. See, now it's a little bit too loose. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process here. One more thing to warn you about. The first time you do this, you are going to over tighten one of these little adjustment pieces, and you will break it. I can't tell you enough not to go crazy on it, but you kind of only learn through breaking one of them. Fortunately, we do sell those at IPD. If you're going on a long trip, I really recommend that you keep a couple of those in the trunk of the car. It's just a good idea. So there we go. That's about right. So tighten that up. Again, I'm pushing back on the screwdriver. Let me see here. There we go. That's better. And you would just, again, repeat the process for the rest of the valves. So, once you get those all adjusted, the next step is to go ahead and make sure that your flange here is all cleaned up. nice and clean. And then you're going to reinstall your valve cover with your cork valve gasket. And we're going to do that next. Alright, once you've finished doing your valve adjustments, you will disconnect your remote starter, which is just a matter of popping it off and removing it. Get that out of the way, and then set that aside. And you'll see over there I have set up my valve cover in the cork gasket. I went through and actually cleaned up the cover just to make sure it was nice and clean and ready to seal. This isn't going to seal very well if there's any gunk or anything. So you do not want to use any goop like Permatex or anything on these seals. Just if you do that, yeah, it'll keep it from leaking, but the next time you need to dig in there, it's going to be a humongous mess. You don't want to do that, trust me. So what I do is I put the seal down like so, and you just kind of set it there so that the holes line up, just like that. And then you put the cover on. And these covers, I really like these because they do a better job of staying in place. These are no longer available. You might be able to find them used on eBay or someplace like that. But other than that, if you're using the stock steel cover, this becomes more important. But you want to make sure when you tighten these bolts down, you do not over tighten them. And we'll show you the technique for that too. So I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to bring this down just like this. And then this is always kind of a matter of just kind of making sure everything kind of lines up the right way. And I start with the bolts. I'm just going to put the first one in. And the second one will go. And you can see I'm kind of moving it around and you should be able to see where the bolt hole in the block is. So that one's there. And just start it with your finger there. And then this one over here. And that one's also kind of started. I'm going to walk around to the other side of the car to do the other two. And I'll just have a look, and that one's just about lined up. I'm actually lifting it up a bit to pull the gasket out so the hole lines up. And that one is also kind of started there. And you'll notice I'm just getting these threaded so that the gasket is in the right place along with the cover. And that one is also just enough, just a couple of threads so that when I lift up on the bolt, it's not going to come flying out. So grab our extender, switch it to tighten, and again very loosely until I feel any resistance. Then I'm going to stop, come back to this corner here. Oops. Same process until you feel resistance, and stop. Come down here. It's kind of like the star pattern of tightening a tire. Do this until I feel resistance, and I'm going to stop. Okay, so here comes the important part. Just making sure the gasket's in there correctly. Looks like it is. Now, tightening it down. You want to tighten it, but not overly. So, I don't really have a torque number, but I do finger tighten, and then I do about 1/4 to 3/4 of a turn after that. Maybe even just 1/4 to start with. And I'll continue with that star pattern again. So there we go. That one's still pretty loose. And then that's going to be my 1/4 turn. And not tight, just really not super crazy tight, because you'll bend the cover and it won't make a flat seal. It'll bend up like that and you'll leak oil. Again, you don't want it to be too loose because then it won't hold the seal, but it doesn't need to be super tight. That's the point I'm trying to make. So I'm just going to check these again. So that one's now gotten loose again. as you go through, it's going to settle down, and you're going to have to keep tightening. That's tight. And there's my quarter turn. There's my quarter turn. That one. Just check this one again. Still loose. Another quarter turn. That's pretty good resistance there. Quarter turn. You know, I'm sure there's a torque setting for this. I don't know what it is. It's one of those things. It's kind of like if you know how tight a spark plug should be. It's about the same, maybe a little bit less than that. Well, that's all there is to it. We've got the cover back on, and well, just to make sure we did everything correctly, we'll take a moment and we'll go in and start the car and see how she runs. Gonna get in the car, start her up. Alright. Have a listen in there. And you can hear the valves kind of doing their thing. It kind of sounds like a sewing machine. If you want to take a listen there. That's a well-adjusted valve rocker assembly. So our work here is done. So that's it. That's how you do valves on a B18, B20 motor. Just always want to make sure you check your valves. It's very easy to overlook that if you're having trouble with the car running correctly. Always make sure your valves are set properly, and then start diagnosing it from there. Until next time, drive safe.